Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good evening, or indeed good morning, wherever you may be, and welcome to Pit Road Productions for the Canadian F1200 Esports Championship 2026, sponsored by the one and only Cartini Racing. My name is Daniel Zippy Salmon, and joining me in the booth today, we've not just got one member of staff, ladies and gentlemen, we've got two. Consider it an upgrade. We've got Reese, the Southpaw Racer Gardner, and a one and only Mr. Rob Campbell working the production controls today. Thank you very much, Rob. I gotta say, Reese, it's great to be back here for the F1200s, and it's definitely going to be a absolute belt of a round here at Summit Point.
Yeah, certainly will, Zippy. We saw sheer domination from Brandon Hawken last time out at Lime Rock Park, and we'll be waiting to see if anyone topples him from that top spot here at a track that's pretty similar to Lime Rock Park in a few ways. You've got a long straight, good slipstreaming opportunities, some fantastic outbraking opportunities, but I do think we're going to be seeing a bit of chaos coming into turn one in both races.
Oh, absolutely, Reese. And indeed, I'm looking at the driver list right now. Certainly, there's a name that is going to stand out. Certainly, if you ever watched the BiS broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, the 20 car of Clay Morris, he is definitely going to be somebody to keep an eye on. Is Brandon Hawken going to find some new competition? Not only that, we have a pro and an AM championship, ladies and gentlemen. And then not only that, there is another prize on the line as well. But before we get into that, let's take a look here at the points for this round.
Indeed. So Brandon Hawken with 77 points, leading the championship by 11 points over Braden Otto. Jackson Morley and Clay Morris are on 55 points apiece, tied for P3. Broomhead and Green rounding out the top of the pro class standings. The AM category is led by Mark Boyd and Stephen Sutherland. Rob Wright and Victor Plord quite close together. Again, it's a tie for third between Wright and Plord. Cebulski, Sadler, and Wilfred all tied on 43 points. So, only one round in, things are certainly going to get a little bit more hectic as time goes on. Auto Eclectic Motorsports leading the team standings by 7 points out of round one. Drive R Motorsports in third. Mivano Corsa is the team Brandon Hawken's a part of, and he is responsible for all of their points so far. Good enough for fourth in the team's championship. And of course, we have the draw ballots as well. It's not just the Pro and Am champions that get an opportunity to test a real-world Formula Vee car from Cartini Racing. There is a random draw for 2 10-lap sessions from every driver who turns up for every event. At the moment, it is Jackson Morley who's leading the top of that one with Stephen Sutherland. So a lot of things to look out for coming through to the second round.
Absolutely, Reese. And certainly the biggest thing for that ballot is you have to finish on that lead lap, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly you can't just go in, quit out the race. And definitely a fantastic idea. Often with a lot of these competitions, winning is obviously very challenging. Look at the strength of field we've got here, but it gives everybody a fighting chance, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly the Formula Vees are going to deliver some absolutely phenomenal racing, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be absolutely insane. You can't just go and do it on pure racecraft alone. You've got to put a lot of strategy into how you're going to try and get those positions and make it count at the end.
Absolutely. The format for tonight is very similar to what we saw at round one. We've got 3 races of 15 minutes apiece, and race 3 has the top 10 inverted from the results of race 2. Open qualifying just a few seconds away from concluding, and we are about to go through the grid for the first of our races here at Summit Point. Challenging circuit, should be very familiar to anyone on the iRacing service. It's part of the base content, Zippy. So let's see what Brandon Hawken can do starting from pole position here.
As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, this is a quick overview here of Summit Point. It's going to be about 2-mile circuit, indeed 3.2 kilometers, 10 turns with a lap record of 104.42. Certainly incredibly good stuff there in the Formula Atlantic. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put that on hold for just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, as indeed we go and take a look at the grid. Well, you can see there, Brandon Hawken is going to be at the front of the grid with Clay Morris alongside in second. Jackson Morley takes third with Matt Clark. Despite being an AM, he's able to get his car up into fourth place. Braden Otto takes fifth with Rob Wright in sixth. Mark Boyd, they call him Bubba, ladies and gentlemen. He's there in seventh with Gerald Namard alongside in eighth. Nicholas Glander takes ninth with Richard Martin, closing out your top 10.
Lane Anderson starts P11 with Keith Wilfred alongside Ryan Knight and Victor Plord sharing the 7th row. Ryan Brooks and Alyssa McKenzie on row 8. Sean Helly and Stephen Sutherland 17th and 18th. We have Eugene Cartini himself starting in 19th place, and Michael Broomhead rounding out our field down in 20th. 20 cars on the grid here. Just getting set up on the long start-finish straight here at Summit Point. When we were looking at the track map, what really sticks out to me is the overtaking opportunities at turn 1 and at turn 5 as well. You go through a pretty open hairpin to start off the lap, and then a few sweepers, a right-hand kink going down the hill, and then the hard braking zone into that 5th corner, which creates a sort of double hairpin section around the back of the lap. We're going to be seeing a lot of side-by-side through there, I'm sure, but this is an old-school circuit through and through. There's no tarmac runoffs to be seen here. It's all gravel and grass lining the racetrack, so the drivers need to be careful to keep it within the limits.
Yeah, definitely you can push it a little bit too hard, especially that final corner. You've really got to flirt with the track limits and definitely push it a little bit further than you would want to, but it's crucial to get as much extra speed as you possibly can. But ladies and gentlemen, we are indeed about to go green, as that's a jump start from Broomhead.
No, it's a rolling start. It's a rolling start. They're getting ready to pull away behind the pace car. Broomhead just put it into first gear.
I had a moment for a second there, ladies and gentlemen. A senior moment, a blonde moment. Call it whatever you may wish, ladies and gentlemen. But indeed, Brandon Hawken is going to be leading this off behind the mighty iRacing Porsche 911 pace car. But I've got to say, it's just one of those series where, while it's nice to qualify at the front, you're going to have to get incredibly lucky and have an incredible amount of skill if you hope to try and pull away from the field. You've got to think about the long race, not just the short one. Don't get me wrong, they're going to be 11-lap races, ladies and gentlemen, quite short in length, but there is definitely a lot of play here. As you can see, the sucker punch machine of Brandon Hawken is going to be taking it away.
That he is, and very nice clean livery on that machine as well. Clay Morris alongside, and well, Morris was certainly quick at the first round at Lime Rock Park, but Hawken winning all 3 races on the trot, and we're looking to maybe see him repeat that here today. He was the champion of the first season of this series and got himself a real-world test as a result. He is back to try and grab another. Broomhead starts down from P20. It can be very easy to make up positions in Formula Vee races. The slipstream is incredibly strong and momentum is everything. As long as you can nail the speed through the corners, then you'll be able to make up bulk positions as long as everyone keeps it clean in front of you.
Absolutely, indeed. It's definitely going to be an absolute belt of a race. And remember, actually, Michael Broomhead's livery was designed by his brother, who's not much of a painter, but does like using spreadsheets. And that is how that came to be. And it honestly remakes me remember my childhood, ladies and gentlemen, which is longer than some would believe, but reminds me when the TV hadn't quite got the channel right. You'd get the old multicolored pebble dash screen.
That you would. A nice little tribute to his brother there and the liveries that he made. As we come around to the final corner here, getting ready to start things off. This final corner is going to be very crucial in the race to get right. All the speed you can carry, as much as you can, through that final turn. It'll give you the nice run down the start-finish straight, but we're waiting for the call of the green flag here. 20 cars getting ready for the start of round 2 of the Canadian F1200 Esports Championship, presented by BiS Sim League, sponsored by Cartini Racing, who's providing a real-world test for the Pro, Am, and Random Draw Champions. Start is on, and it looks like Clay Morris wasn't as quick to react as the others around him. 3 wide for third, as moving up into P2, Jackson Morley getting in the slipstream of Brandon Hawken, and Brandon's doing the smart thing and protecting the inside into turn 1. Will he be able to keep it, though, is the question. Oh, there's contact there on the outside, and that's going to be Matt Clark off at turn 1. He rejoins at the back of the field. Apart from that, looks like a reasonably clean start from everyone. Jackson Morley versus Brandon Hawken at the front of the field, zippy through turn 3. There he goes.
Yeah, definitely this is going to be a long fight for these drivers. Indeed, Jackson Morley able to make his way up ahead. Oh my gosh, that was Broomhead Just got absolutely somersaulted out of that left hand. I've got to say, that's going to have to be a replay job, but it's fair to say he has got some very aggressive toe on the back of that car. But right now, here we go. Let's take a look at the replay. What on earth happened, as we see here from Steve Sutherland's point of view?
Yeah, okay. Oh, my goodness me. So, wheel-to-wheel contact, and then Broomhead was ramped over Steven Sutherland. That is probably the most spectacular incident I've ever seen in a Formula Vee race. Unfortunately, it's meant that Broomhead and Sutherland have both had to tow back to the pits. They haven't even made it to halfway around the first lap. But the battles are on at the front of the field. Brandon Hawken has nailed the run out of the final turn, and he's going to go for the lead here on Jackson Morley and the red car on the right side of screen. It's side by side for third as well. 3 wide again, trying on the inside. Rob Wright in the green and yellow machine.
I'm just having a little bit of a look further back, Reese, as they have indeed for a second there gone 4 wide as they make their way down towards turn 1. Now 3 wide is going to be risky. Claymore is frankly able to hold on there, but he's got a pressure from right behind. Brandon Hawkins able to regain the lead from Jackson Morley, but right now, one of the hard charges, ladies and gentlemen, Sean Henley up 5 positions on the day.
Yeah, good job there from Sean Henley. He'll find his way up to 12th. And he's solidly in the slipstream of Ryan Brooks here. Look at the amount he catches him up on the exit of turn 3 there. It's very easy to kick up the gravel, but maximizing the limits, that's what it's all about here. And it looks like they'll be keeping things clean for the moment. It's going to be 11 laps per race with this format, so not much time to sort yourself out. You need to nail everything and make your moves cleanly and early.
Yeah, definitely got to think about the strategy in this one, Reese. But right now, you can see here, Rob Wright's in a pretty good position. He's got another car between himself and Nicholas Calander, who's currently up there in P6. Actually, Calander really taking very well here to the Formula Vee right now. But the fastest lap being currently held by Brandon Hawken. And not surprisingly so, ladies and gentlemen, that man has got an iRating that would make a few people incredibly envious, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, the big thing about these Formula Vees is you're going to need more than just that to try and pull away. Right now, he's only not even a 10th of a second. So it looks like Jackson Morley's fighting back. Clay Morris, however, takes the fastest lap of the race.
He does indeed. A 126.2 as Morley and Hawkins side by side through turn 1 again. They'll be trading spots for the lead basically every lap, I think, at this point, considering how things are going. Getting the slipstream down the run up to the final corner and continuing to carry it through. Seems like that's going to be the story of this race, and for everyone behind, they need to sort themselves out and mount an attack, because it can't just be these two running away with it.
Yeah, definitely not. They got to think about the long game. Indeed, they are close enough.
Oh, Hawkins off.
Rob Wright has, yep, Hawkins has indeed taken the scenic route, ladies and gentlemen. As around he goes. Who on earth was that?
Rob. That was Rob Wright.
Well, Rob Wright takes the scenic route as well, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get me wrong, incredibly colourful livery there. Certainly, if he was a Norwich City Football Club supporter, he would indeed be in the team colours for a home game. But right now, that is absolutely catastrophic. He was leading the AMP class, and Nicholas Glander has been able to capitalise on that as Brandon Hawken, unforced mistake there, just ends up taking the scenic route. Don't get me wrong, these Formula Vees are pretty fun on the dirt, ladies and gentlemen, but definitely not going to be the winning strategy for today's race.
No, certainly not. That's very odd to see. Brandon Hawken just slithering off track in the braking zone. Quite an uncharacteristic error from our championship leader. Well, what that has done is it's brought this battle that was for third into the battle for the lead. Jackson Morley still leading the way, but Clay Morris and Braden Otto have joined him up here at the front of the field. Hawken has recovered to P7, and I think with the red mist descending, he might waste no time making those moves back up.
Well, I think that's it. It's definitely, he's got the pace, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get the opportunity. Mark Boyd, if you don't know him, ladies and gentlemen, he is the leader of Auto Eclectic Motorsport. Not only do they have a radical, they also acquired 8 Formula Vee. I think they have a couple of radicals that they take care of as well. This man's racecraft is pretty much on point, and he's certainly somebody who I've had experience with racing before. And if you want to find your way past Mark Boyd, you're going to have to do more than just have pace. You're going to have to really, really push him and try and basically make a little bit of a dive, I'd say.
Well, in the end, Hawken didn't have to make a dive. He, as Rob Wright has another problem. Brandon Hawken got a mega run out of turn 3 as Boyd and Colander were running side by side, and he was past them before they even got to the braking zone. So basically, Brandon Hawken is right on the back of this fight now.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, indeed, let's welcome some people to the chat as well. We've got Shireen with an emoji that could be almost covering her eyes, ladies and gentlemen. We had that little incident there with Brandon Hawk take us here. And we've also got one of our PRP's #1 fans, Jake Enns, in the chat as well, the Canadian Carnage himself.
Yes, indeed. There goes Hawken there in the green and white machine, making the move up the inside of Gerald Nembhard. And that will be back up into 4th then for Brandon Hawken, and not far off the lead either. It's only been a lap or so since his incident. Well, around about a lap and a half, nearly 2 laps, and he's already looking to try and get the lead back here in the slipstream of Morris.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to be fighting hard to try and regain that lead, ladies and gentlemen, indeed, but he's going to have to do some work. Now, don't get me wrong, these guys will know the reputation here of Brandon Hawken, and what they can do is if they can strategically stay side by side the whole way around, it's going to make it very, very difficult for him to make a pass. Sometimes you got to think about the long game, ladies and gentlemen. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and indeed that may be a strategy to go as Hawken there, taken to the grass very slightly and being given a run for his money by Braden Otto.
Yeah, Braden a bit left out to dry there. No slipstream for him down the penultimate straight. Hawken makes his way into 3rd, just in time for the final corner. And Clay Morris gets a good run out of the corner, but he's boxed in a little bit by Jackson Morley. And now it's Hawken's turn to be boxed in. Almost bump drafting Morley down the front straight. Here's a big run getting set up from Gerald Nembhard. 3 wide on the outside of turn 1. Who's going to come through cleanly here? Nembhard super late on the brakes, and he's going to sweep around the outside of a lot of them to try and take the lead, but shortest line belongs to Jackson Morley. He'll keep it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this battle for P1 is happening all the way from P1 down to P7, ladies and gentlemen. You see Mark Boyd there in the 42, the auto eclectic machine. He's in there giving it a run for his money as well. Definitely going to think about the strategy in the long game, but right now, Nicholas Glander, he's up in the mix as well. This could be a great battle with the AMs and the pros. As Gerald Nembhard, he's there, one of the AM class drivers, currently P2 overall. Fantastic stuff.
Oh, not for long though. Round he goes.
But speak of the devil, ladies and gentlemen, the Dragon Ball has indeed been ousted.
That's a shame there for Gerald Nembhard, and it looks to me like it was a small hit to the back of Jackson Morley that tipped Nembhard around, unfortunately. So that's taken him out of the fight. Moment of contact is right here. And I think some of the contact physics and netcode playing a part in that, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely one of the downsides here is we head a little bit further back through the pack, ladies and gentlemen. Lane Anderson now getting a little bit of a battle on here, trying to have some competition as oh dear, round they go. Yeah.
That's going to be Lane Martin, Lane Anderson, sorry, getting down to P18 as side by side for 2nd behind Hawken, who has retaken the lead. Now it's back to business as usual up the front, but for how long? They still have 5 laps to go.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, I wouldn't want to be leading the race at this point. You've got to think about the strategy, ladies and gentlemen. And I've got to say, I agree with Jake Enns on that. It's so nice to see so many people in the chat. We've got Abduram Manamad, he's joined the chat as well. Jazz for Josh, thanks very much. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. We'd love to see you back again.
Bit of an oversteer moment for Jackson Morley. Looks like turn 5 is proving one of the key points of the lap here for incidents. On board with Clay Morris as he checks out the top 3 here. He's in prime position to take advantage on the final lap. He needs to make sure that he doesn't get passed by Colander and Boyd, but he can make himself a factor in all of this. The run is there, and he'll take 2nd on the way into the final corner. What about the lead, though? Hawken just flinging the car into the corner and using all of that available runoff on the exit. Oh, things are getting a little bit testy here.
Yeah, definitely, and I got a feeling it's about to go balls up, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, they make their way straight down the start-finish, heading down towards turn one with just 3 laps to go. It is getting incredibly tense. These drivers are fighting with inches to spare, ladies and gentlemen, as indeed Brandon Hawkin currently had the lead as Jackson Morley takes over. But for how long, ladies and gentlemen? Brandon Hawkin will be on the inside for turn one, but on the outside for the next corner. I feel like we're getting a demonstration of Noah's Ark at this point, as side by side they go.
And that is Jackson Morley to the lead through turn 3. Hawkin running a little wide there as he gave the room. Doesn't give as big an opportunity to Morris as I thought, but now it looks like Nicholas Colander is going to try and make himself a factor in the top 4 battle. Hawkin takes the lead back from Morley. They're still side by side. This is why we love Summit Point so much. It provides some great opportunities for side-by-side racing in these slower classes of car.
Absolutely. Honestly, the Formula Vee is so often overlooked, and it really is disappointing, ladies and gentlemen. Spec Racer Ford as well, for example, we can think of a series that took that on and has been loving it, ladies and gentlemen. But certainly, everybody's all excited about, oh, I want to drive the GT3s and the prototypes and stuff like that. But the good proportion of drivers do not have the talents to necessarily get the limited grip, and that's not a criticism, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying that you will become a better driver if you drive something like the Formula Vee, and then not only that, you get the opportunity to drive a real one. I can't say we've ever seen that for a GT3, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to. If you own a GT3, by all means, reach out to us. We'll do the league, you do the car. But by all means, it will make you a better driver. And certainly, we're seeing some great competition and some great racecraft here today at Summit Point.
Yeah, Nicholas Colander getting a free position there as Clay Morris ran wide on the exit of the final turn, but Colander and Morris come together, and that's 2 of our top 6 competitors out of the fight. Fortunately, both of them are still rolling, but not for long in the case of Nicholas Colander. I think his race is done.
Yeah, I could sort of see it coming. It looked like he went to try and close the door. We'd have to check a replay of that in just a few short moments. But Colander has indeed picked up a meatball flag. Let's take a look here from the blimp cam, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. Looked to shut the door, didn't quite have the clearance, and sadly ended up getting into a little bit of tangle there with Clay Morris.
Yeah, Nicholas Colander is now back to the pits. That's a shame. He was in the top 3 in the AM class, so not quite reflecting the success that he had at Lime Rock last week. We'll be seeing him hopefully return to the fold in races 2 and 3. But now there are only 3 drivers really fighting in the pro class, at least for the lead of the race. Mark Boyd just holding on in 4th, but I think he might start losing out to these 3 as they slipstream off each other. 2 laps to go, and Brandon Hawkin, Braden Otto, and Jackson Morley are your protagonists. Here comes the slipstream and the move into turn 1 from Morley. Now, will Otto follow him through?
All Mark Boyd can hope for at this point is contact. Does that look like a little bit of a slight nudge there? I have a feeling that Braden Otto maybe got a little bit deep there. It did look like a little bit of contact to me, but Mark Boyd has managed to stay in there. The gap was about 1.2, 1.3 seconds initially, and he has managed to stay with this pack. This could be an absolute send of points for him. Don't get me wrong, he's leading the AM Class Championship right now. And I guess this will be an opportunity to drive the competition's car in another way of speaking, ladies and gentlemen. But indeed, he's doing a good demonstration there, and certainly staying with this lead pack could be nothing but beneficial. Opportunities are on the horizon.
Yes, plenty of opportunities indeed. The opportunity for Brandon Hawkin to get the lead back off Jackson Morley, I think, is going to present itself very soon. White flag will be in the air when they come across the line. On board with our championship leader, and you'll get a sense for how strong the slipstream is here. Hawkin, I think, has lined this up perfectly. He's got the slipstream, but he's not being held up by being too close to Morley, and through the final corner, nails the exit. And it looks to me like Morley had a really poor run out of the final corner. Hawkin immediately back to the lead as the final lap begins, and they're 3 wide.
Yeah, it looks like he's just absolutely gone and hugging that inside line, ladies and gentlemen. You see Mark Boyd lurking in the back, and we've got a battle happening further back as well. That's going to be for 7th place. See Matt Clark, Richard Martin. Oh, go. That's Braden Otto, ladies and gentlemen. He has indeed yeeted up over turn one, as indeed that's the opportunity these guys were looking for. Matt Clark, you saw him get involved in an incident on turn one, lap one, but despite that, he is now second in the AM class, indeed P5 overall. But for how long? Brandon Hawkin now at the front of the pack, clear by about half a second to Mark Boyd. He's really capitalized on this opportunity, but can he hold on to the 92 of Jackson Morley?
Yeah, that is the question. Morley was in the middle coming into turn one, and unfortunately for Braden Otto, caught on the outside. 3 into 1 doesn't often go unless you give a lot of room, and that's basically gifted the lead to Brandon Hawkin now. Morley can get points for second place back, but I don't know if the lead is within his reaches here. Brandon Hawkin is breaking the slipstream here, down the final straight here. And there goes Jackson Morley. Second place is his. Is there going to be a response from Mark Boyd on the exit of the final corner? There will be. Ahead of them, Brandon Hawkin is going to take victory, but Mark Boyd gets second place back. It looks like Morley might be shifting up in the wrong place. Coming out of the final corner there, that's what's ruining his runs there. Clay Morris gets 5th place ahead of Richard Martin and Braden Otto. And then Gerald Nemhard, who was a part of that lead battle, ends up getting 11th in the end.
Absolutely fantastic racing. I do love it when it does indeed come down to the line. Certainly this particular track, ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually going to remember a guy called Jim Brewster. So certainly, Jim, if you're watching, by all means, this one's for you. But you can see Lane Anderson with quite the beard, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a little bit jealous of that. Certainly not a territory I can compete in. He comes down in 17th place with Michael Broomhead still running. Steve Sutherland sadly retiring from this race earlier on.
Yeah, same for Nicholas Colander as well. So 18 cars ultimately will get to the finish of this. Broomhead spending nearly 2 minutes in the pits with the tow time and getting repairs done. And, well, at the very least, he's still going to finish 2 positions up from where he started. So it's not an entirely pointless exercise here for Mr. Broomhead.
Definitely not, and indeed, it doesn't hurt to get a couple more laps here on the track, but it's certainly, if you look at the lap time, it's definitely, you need that draft. Fastest lap that race, a 126 flat from Brandon Hawkin. Just to put it into context, the second fastest time I can see would be a 126.2, ladies and gentlemen, so certainly 0.2 per second in that, but here, indeed, is the results from Heat 1. Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Hawkin took the lead by 0.7 per second over, they call him Bubba, it's Mr. Mark Boyd. Jackson Morley took third with Matt Clark in fourth, with Clay Morris rounding out your top 5. Richard Martin took 6th with Braden Otto in 7th. Ryan Knight took 8th with Victor Plaud in 9th. And Ryan Brooks rounding out your top 10.
And in 11th place, Gerald Nemhard. Keith Wilfred finishing where he started in 12th. Sean Hilly and Rob Wright, 13th and 14th. And Wright will be wanting a little bit of redemption here in race 2. Eugene Cartini, the man himself, 15th place ahead of Alyssa McKenzie and Lane Anderson. Broomhead, the last finisher, with Stephen Sutherland ending his race in the pits. Same for Nicholas Colander as well, 3 laps from the end. Now, we've got a 5-minute warm-up period upon us at the moment. It would appear we, in fact, do not have 3 races here today, just the 2 of them. And the top 10 grid invert has already been applied. We are going to be seeing Ryan Brooks starting on pole position for the second race here.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. I'm going to message Mike about that, because certainly I would be very surprised if we don't see 3 races here. That's definitely going to be a shocker for me, ladies and gentlemen, but we will indeed roll with the punches. But certainly, Summit points so far, it's definitely delivered on the racing action, but certainly I have a feeling somebody has got top Brandon Hawkin off that top step.
I'm getting the feeling this championship is going to be a case of Brandon Hawkin versus everyone else, because what Hawkin has been doing is he's been staying out of the real sort of wheel-to-wheel moments. Those have only been happening to everyone else who's fighting with him, and they're tripping over each other, fighting amongst themselves. I think if they can find a way to work together and give just a little bit more space in these battles, we might see Hawkins' championship run maybe slowed down a little. Yeah,
definitely. Honestly, almost at this point, like, I've got nothing against the guy, but I'd like to see somebody beat him. I honestly thought Clay Morris would be the man for that. Not knocking you, Clay. I expected you to be able to do it. It sounds so So aggressive, I do apologize. We know he's quick, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go off that, and if you don't believe us, look at the other BiS broadcasts. Indeed, put him in a Radical, an IndyCar, a 1600. Doesn't matter, he's quick. But certainly, it's been an interesting round so far. And Summit Point, honestly, I think one of the fantastic choices of track here for the Formula Vee. But if I remember rightly, round 3 happens to go to one of your favorites.
Indeed. I will have to review the calendar here. Thanks very much, Rob. We go to Phillip Island for round 3, and well, if you think the slipstreaming battles were intense at Lime Rock and Summit Point, at Phillip Island they're just going to balloon out into something spectacular. Super long straights and fast flowing corners. Phillip Island is a great track and slower cars, and I think the same goes for Motorsport, which is going to play host to the final round on the 20th of February.
Definitely going to be an absolute belt. And actually, the 3rd year I took part in this series, ladies and gentlemen. I commentated the first time it ever went, and that was back on Podium. That's anybody who's been around sim racing broadcasting will know that's a name from the past, ladies and gentlemen. And then both your 2nd year and the 3rd year has been here on Pit Road Productions. But this is the 1st year, however, that has joined the BiS family of leagues, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, we're very happy to see that. BiS, every league they do, except for the IndyCar, you can win a chance to drive a real one. And certainly, if you have an IndyCar, by all means, I know somebody who used to drive one, Mr. Tagliani. If you'd like to lend us an IndyCar, by all means, reach out. We would love to do that.
Yeah, that would be insane.
That's ambitious. That's ambitious. I'll give me that.
A real world test in an IndyCar. That would be insane. Well, it would appear that our confusion over the server skipping immediately to race 3 is shared. We do have drivers leaving the server, and what I'm hearing is Mike Broomhead is going to make a new race session to allow us to run the rest of the event as was intended. So I get the feeling we might have to take a short break in a few moments' time, but regardless, a little bit of a blip, a little bit of a bump in the road, but we'll be resuming business as usual.
Oh, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Enjoy the beautiful, soothing music here on Pit Road Productions with a ambient visual display as we return very shortly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we return to our regularly scheduled programming. That particular line sponsored by Nicholas Clander, ladies and gentlemen. He definitely wanted to hear that. And indeed, we will have a giggle. If you have stayed there in the chat, thank you very much. We do appreciate the loyalty. Certainly, J-Can's Pitway Productions' #1 fan, ladies and gentlemen. If we had a cheerleading section, by all means, he would be #1. But we are indeed switch over to a new session. And look at that. We do have people staying in the chat. Thank you very much, Shireen. That is much appreciated. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe button, especially. But right now, these drivers just doing a couple of practice laps while we wait for them to fully rejoin the session. Indeed, we'll get this evening of racing back underway.
That we will. The session should be advancing in a couple of minutes, and we'll be able to get races 2 and 3 done. We'll have to wait and see whether or not the results from race 1 will carry over to the start of this second race. There might be a couple of administrative issues that we may have to work out there, but this is an opportunity for the drivers to have a bit of fun in the practice session beforehand. Nicholas proving that despite its incredibly low power, you can do donuts in a Formula Vee.
Oh, absolutely. Formula Vee, honestly, a lot of fun. And certainly speaking to BiS Cartini over the past couple of seasons there, incredibly friendly to work on as well. That's often something we don't think about when we're here doing the sim racing broadcast, or indeed commentating on the real world racing as well. As what a camera shot. That's fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, Gerald Newmar up close, ladies and gentlemen. You can see the full carbon fiber helmet, and it does appear to have little ears there. I'm going to say they're cooling vents, and indeed rocking a Sparko race suit. But that indeed has been the session advanced. But as we were saying very shortly ago, it is very, very easy to work on a Formula Vee. It's actually got a engine on it from a Volkswagen Beetle, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, this appears to be your grid. We're going to have Braden Otto. He's going to be starting in P1 with Clay Morris in second. Gerald Newmar takes third with Victor Floyd in fourth. Jackson Morley will be in fifth with Steve Sutherland in sixth. Ryan Brooks will take seventh with Ryan Knight alongside in eighth. Rob Wright takes ninth with Nicholas Clander rounding out your top 10.
And it's Alyssa McKenzie in P11, Lane Anderson alongside. In 13th place, Eugene Cartini with Mark Boyd, Richard Martin and Keith Wilfred rounding out the first 8 rows. Matt Clark starting 17th, Sean Healy in 18th, and our final row of the grid is going to be Michael Broomhead and Brandon Hawken. Race 1 winner starting from the very back for race 2, which is going to provide quite a bit of entertainment, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was just actually asking Mike if he's going to try and manually set the grid during the pace lap. Certainly, I believe they start the same place that they finished from race 1 usually, and indeed that would be a balanced way of doing it, ladies and gentlemen. But certainly, it's going to be hard, and I do sympathise for him on the administrative side in organising that. But certainly, it's going to be an absolute battle. And then what can you do? But I guess clear all the black flags. Certainly, this is where experience comes into play. Ladies and gentlemen, it is so often underestimated just how much work goes into running an iRacing league. That's why I don't do it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to offer a word of wisdom, or what I have to offer, should I be asked, or should I have a particular passionate feeling about something. But in terms of organising them outright, absolutely not. I leave that to people who are professional.
Yes, indeed. Well, this is going to be a good opportunity for points for quite a few drivers as we pull away here on the pace lap, or at least Clay Morris does. It would appear that Braden Otto is not moving, and he has escaped back to the pits. That's not ideal there. Potentially a hardware issue for the man who was going to be on pole position for this one, but he will be starting this race from pit lane regardless of what goes on here. It would appear that we are trying to sort ourselves out into a running order that resembles what race 1 ended up being. So let's just watch, observe, see how this works out.
Well, they certainly have my sympathy trying to sort that out, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, it's going to be a challenge as we figured out exactly where Sharon's watching from. His wife is her wife. I do apologise there. I'm not sure. Their wife. Let's go with that, ladies and gentlemen. Their wife is indeed Alyssa McKenzie. And they are currently appear in P10, ladies and gentlemen. But I have a feeling we're going to see a little bit of variety here as they do try indeed get the drivers into order. And I've got to say, a little bonus feature we have here at BIS, the headshots, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, the helmet shot in this case for Alyssa McKenzie.
Yes, for sure. Alyssa is looking for a good run of things in this one. And it's going to be unclear exactly where we're all going to be starting here with Brandon Hawken and Michael Broomhead still at the back of the field here. Gerald Nemhard then moving to the P1 spot. This is going to be quite a confusing start, I think, least I can say.
Yeah, certainly. I do have to wonder if it might make more sense to just pull away individually just to get the cars in order. Maybe it was just a non-scored round, ladies and gentlemen. There's just an outright race. I honestly don't know at this point. That's not something I've got to worry about, ladies and gentlemen. We are indeed just going to do the best we can with the information we have. But right now, currently at the front of the grid is Clay Morris.
Yes, Clay going to take point here on the start of the race. So let's see what he can do here with Brandon Hawken, race 1 winner, starting at the back of the field for race 2. Waiting for the call of the green flag. And we are away, it seems. Green flag flies, and we're going to see a lot of black flags come out for drivers passing on the formation lap, but those black flags will be cleared for sure. We'll see Clay Morris lead by quite some way into turn 1 as we get things going. Meanwhile, Victor Plord in P2, piling the pressure on.
Yeah, definitely not quite sure how this is going to work out in the grand scheme of things. You see Braden Otto coming out of the pits there at the back, albeit a lap down, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, Eugene Cartini, the man himself, getting into some battles as well. But at the front of the grid, Clay Morris currently leading over Victor Plord, who takes the scenic route, ladies and gentlemen, in the sand, more than the Hasselhoff, for at least that corner, ladies and gentlemen, and absolutely plummets back to P7.
Yes, make that P8 now as he's just fallen behind Ryan Brooks. So the battle is on for the lead here between Nemhard and Clay Morris. With, remember, keeping an eye out for those number panels on the cars. The red ones are the AM class, and it looks like we'll have a good run for the AM class here in race number 2, occupying positions 4 all the way through to 15th, as well as 2nd place on track at the moment. Waiting for those big moves to be made. Brandon Hawken moving up to 16th place by the end of the first lap here.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to have fun trying to make his way through the field. Indeed, as right ahead of him is Sean Hele. But right there, you can see Mark Boyd a little bit further up. Ladies and gentlemen, this man is leading the AM-Class Championship. I'm not sure how the points are going to work out, but already we can see a 3-wide scenario. Are we going to see it 4? As that looks like Matt Clark trying to make his way through as well.
Richard Martin on the inside, and caught in the middle there was Lane Anderson getting on the brakes early. That caught out Matt Clark, and Clark slithers off the track. He gets things going again, but albeit a few positions further down than he'd like.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a surprise there, but right now Clay Morris holding the fastest lap with 131.1. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a feeling that is going to get even quicker here as we have another 8 laps of this race left to go.
And Gerald Nemhard has taken the lead from Clay Morris. Jackson Morley right with him. Stephen Sutherland, Ryan Knight and Victor Plord rounding out your top 6 as things stand. And Morley missed out on the opportunity to go for the win in race 1 on the final lap, but he has more than enough of a chance here. A fantastic run out of the 3rd last corner, and it looks like he might even try to go for the lead here versus Gerald Nemhard on the way into the final turn.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting that double slipstream can be absolutely monumental here in the Formula Vee, but I do have a feeling something happened to Lane Anderson as well. They are dropping further and further back. I'll have to check in with a replay very, very shortly. Right now, though, that car's still running, thankfully, but I have to wonder if they maybe got into a little bit of a tangle earlier on.
Yeah, plenty of tangles here on what was a very confusing start. Lane Anderson trying his best here to keep Eugene Cartini behind him. And we have Braden Otto on the inside as well. Otto making up the position there to jump up into 18th place, I believe, as Morley has continued to hold on to the lead. Nemhard versus Morris for 2nd, and Stephen Sutherland not too far behind.
Yeah, we're not quite sure exactly what happened there to to Lane Anderson. They did drop back quite heavily, but right now we can see here we're staying with Jackson Morley, who's currently leading this race. Not only that, he's pulled out the biggest gap we've seen so far. So here we go. We've got a replay here. Lane Anderson just goes a little bit deep there, takes to the sand, and that would explain why they indeed fall down through the order. As you see Mike Broomhead make his way by.
Yeah, it's something that we saw happen in race 1 as well. A bizarre incident for Brandon Hawken where he just blended to the right off the racetrack in the braking zone for that very same corner. Be interesting to see how many more drivers make that error. Sutherland under pressure now. Victor Plord looking to try and mount a run back to the lead, but it's bump draft central between Jackson Morley and Clay Morris for the lead.
Absolutely fantastic stuff so far, and indeed Clay Morris, this could be a good opportunity for him to score some points. Steve Sutherland as well. He's actually a travel nurse, I believe, ladies and gentlemen, and right there he is very much traveling, indeed, trying to make his way towards the podium.
Indeed. Well, here we go then. Battle for second place side by side into turn 3. And Morley sweeps around the outside to take it. Here's Ryan Knight, who's latched onto the back of that top 6 battle. And he's getting right in amongst it here with Stephen Sutherland. Got to be gentle through turn 4. It is flat out in a Formula Vee.
Oh!
The speed, but oh God, Victor Plord airborne with contact and sent off there at turn 5. And you see Brandon Hawken just slipping on through there as well. Hawken has made his way up to P7.
Yeah, fair play to him. He's definitely going to make some moves, ladies and gentlemen. Even P6, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go one ball. Why not? You buy one, you get one free, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, Nicholas Calander, he has been doing very well in these Formula V's. I certainly feel it's probably one of his strongest cars in comparison to see him in the Radicals or indeed the 1600s. The Formula V, he has taken to like a duck to water, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, he has an opportunity to try and advance further forward. As you can say in the draft there of Brandon Hawken, he could get slingshot all the way up towards the podium. The top 5 all duking it out, about 2-3 tenths per second between all of them, as it looks like Hollander is going to try and fight back.
Yes, he will fight back, and so will Jackson Morley as Gerald Nemhard tried to take the lead there. Hollander managing to keep Brandon Hawken behind him in the short term, but Hawken makes his way past on the exit of turn 1. Jackson Morley now doing something that he's done a few times before, sweeping around the outside of turn 3. Lead is back to him as Gerald Nemhard doesn't seem to be getting a good straight line run here. Clay Morris and Ryan Knight will take advantage, and Morris needs to try and find a way through here. Looks like he's actually lifting off early. He's biding his time with this, and that can be profitable, but at the moment it looks like Morley is running away with this.
Morley's currently managed to break that toe with about a second, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly the biggest gap we've seen here in the Formula 1200 series tonight, the Canadian F1200 Esports Championship. But right now, the Canadian driver is indeed looking pretty well settled there. All he's got to do is keep it clean and keep it on the track. But however, you can't underestimate your competition here. These drivers work together rather than against each other. They will find them be able to catch up to Morley very, very efficiently.
Yeah, they just got to work together and not get in each other's way. Brandon Hawken isn't too far behind this pack, as it's a slight bump draft between Gerald Nemhard and Clay Morris. You've got to be very careful in the Formula V's when doing that. Of course, there's no body work or chassis frames sticking out to bounce off. You're basically putting your nose cone to the guy in front's gearbox as things stand. Nice fighting. Further back here, Ryan Brooks, Mark Boyd, Rob Wright, Victor Plord, Richard Martin, Matt Clark. It goes all the way down here to Michael Broomhead, who's looking at the back of Alyssa McKenzie right now. Side by side ahead between Matt Clark and Richard Martin. And look at the speed that McKenzie makes up on that. All it takes is one moment of side by side and you're in it.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to think about the strategy here, and indeed the Formula V's are an excellent tool if you want to try and increase your racecraft, ladies and gentlemen. Right now we're seeing Matt Clark. That shark may have teeth, but indeed he has been bitten so far twice tonight. But can he take a bite here out of the prey ahead of him? He's got Victor Plord ahead. Not only that, Ryan Brooks as well as Broomhead and Alyssa McKenzie. Oh no, that's big contact there. McKenzie comes into contact, and it looks like Broomhead got caught up in that as well. The 73 car. It's definitely going to be a job for replay. Sean Halley gets caught up as well.
Wow, yeah, three-way contact between those drivers, and Alyssa McKenzie's car doesn't look to be in very good shape. Get another look at that. Broomhead going up the inside of McKenzie, and unfortunately it seems Broomhead got a bit of understeer and went into McKenzie. She really couldn't have gone any further left. She was right on the edge of the racetracks. So just an unfortunate coming together that left Sean Healy an innocent victim in all that.
Right now we're going to see potentially another coming together as Brendan Hawken has indeed trying to split the ace, ladies and gentlemen, as he goes between these two drivers. And you can see here we got a very active chat today, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe I'm mostly showing why I'm not on track. I'd be terrible. Indeed, I do not know there, Jake. And certainly, you know, that's one of the things as well. But this is why we have sim racing, ladies and gentlemen. So you can have a go, and if you get it wrong, it doesn't hurt as much. But right now, Rob Wright, he's definitely having a go, as that is a big move there from the Gulf Reed car. But right now, Rob Wright leading this pack of cars. Oh dear.
Oh, yes, indeed. Rob Wright in the Benetton F1 tribute livery there. Looks like Gerald Nemhard has towed back to pit lane. Something has happened to the number 23. And looks like a few casualties coming out of the action in this race. Brandon Hawken has made his way up to second in the midst of all of this. He's just been putting his car in exactly the right place the whole time. Remember, he started from 20th. He could be going for a full-on last to first challenge here with 5 laps still to run.
Yeah, certainly. Look at his lap time right now. He just did a 126 flat as his best lap. With his last lap being a 126.8 now. That would have given him a little bit of a draft. Now, don't get me wrong, if he's only gaining 2 or 3 tenths a second a lap, he's going to probably be within range in about 3 laps time, like gentlemen. It just depends. Can he get close enough to get a draft there off the back of the 92? Jackson Morley is going to have to focus, keep the car clean, keep the line straight if he wants to stay away from the 99.
Yeah, Brandon Hawken in top gear then, accelerating through turn 3. Clay Morris giving chase and trying his best to stay within that crucial 2.5 seconds, which is where the slipstream really kicks in. Stephen Sutherland with a strong drive so far in P4, as that's a car stopped by the side of the circuit there. Looks like that might be Matt Clark potentially. That's oh my God, out of nowhere there, Victor Plaud involved in the battle between Mark Boyd, Matt Clark, and we see Braden Otto in the midst of all of this as well. Otto's found his way up to P9 after starting from the pits. This is there's just yet more chaos happening, and I don't think there's any sign of seeing it end.
Yeah, definitely some absolutely fantastic battles going on. Fair play, Braden Otto able to get back into the race, but right now I'm keeping an eye on the leaders as well as Jackson Morley.
No.
Oh dear, Victor Plaud. I gotta say, beautiful 180. I'll give them that. Jackson Morley there. That gap has come down to 6 tenths of a second. He is within striking range of the number 99, but right now let's stay here with this battle with Braden Otto looking to try and make his way past Matt Clark and indeed Rob Wright.
And looks like Matt Clark holding on nicely to the position, defending the inside of turn 1, but the better exit does seem to belong to Braden Otto. Rob Wright is a bit of a spanner in the works here as they're 3 wide, almost on the way into turn 3. Slight sway there from Matt Clark, and his momentum through the corner is shot. Rob Wright is going to come through and try his best to take advantage of that position. Sean Healy, meanwhile, has come back out of the pits, but he is stopped by the side of the circuit right there. He was just behind the timing tower there. That's a bit curious.
Yeah, definitely have to keep an eye on that. Certainly, if there is ever an intention for if there is ever, like, you know, an intentional wreck, I can pretty much guarantee you'll be black flagged straight away, because don't get me wrong, I'm commentating right now. I have the means to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, certainly we'd never want to see that kind of action. But indeed, if you do want to see that kind of action, we do have another channel we're thinking about making, and I can't pronounce it on stream, ladies and gentlemen, but it's got a couple of stars in it and has ST on either end. That Road Productions, ladies and gentlemen, certainly. But right now, Brandon Hawken is doing the very opposite, as indeed he makes his way to P1 from the back of the field.
Yes, and it looks like Jackson Morley won't have much of a response there to that move around the outside. Hawken maintained the momentum beautifully, got the car rotated on that outside line, and is through to the lead. But Now, that gives a chance back to Clay Morris. The brief moment of side-by-side between our leaders has brought him back into the fight. He's pushing super hard through turn 3 there, and this is going to be a close three-way fight all the way to the end. Once you have the slipstream in these cars, it's very difficult to lose it.
Yeah, very, very difficult indeed. Just look at I honestly feel it's one of my favorite cars for just outright racecraft, ladies and gentlemen, because the draft being so crucial and the momentum being so vital as well. It really does. If you make a mistake, you do get a chance to recover from that. And it is hard for anybody, even with incredible pace, to pull away. That draft is absolutely fundamental here. But right now, Richard Martin going indeed side to side with Rob Wright.
Yeah, Rob Wright getting the move done there, and his next target is going to be Ryan Brooks in the Gulf liveried car. 2 laps to go at the front of the field, and Brandon Hawken already making his intentions clear. He's not willing to give this lead up, but Clay Morris is not playing the game. He's keeping that straight line. He is boxing in Jackson Morley, and now Hawken moves defensive for turn 1. 3 wide for the lead, and well, Morley's the car in the middle. He needs to be careful here. Slows down maybe just a bit too much. That's going to allow Clay Morris through into second place. They got to sort themselves out quickly, otherwise they'll let Hawken get away.
Yeah, definitely got to make sure they focus on the car ahead. But I do have to wonder as well, for me, that was a bit too much on the weaving department. My understanding is you get 1 move, and weaving on the straight, I've personally never been a fan of. So certainly, Reese, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that. But you know, you're leading the points championship. You know, how hard you really need to fight, and even then, what point does it become, you know, unsportsmanlike?
Well, my opinion is whatever the rule book says. So we'll need to consult that for a solid idea. But trading for spots for second place between Clay Morris and Jackson Morley. They're going to do it again on the way into the final corner. Probably an inconvenient place to do it because Hawken has all the racetrack to himself through the final corner, and he gets the momentum. Morris gets into the grass, and Jackson Morley a bit slow out of the final corner himself on the tighter line. The white flag is out, and Brandon Hawken is going to be across the line and leading by 0.3 of a second. They need to keep themselves in the fight here. Oh, hang on a minute. What's Jackson Morley doing? He's stopping.
That was checkered.
Is that the last lap?
Reese. Yeah, it was.
Oh my God! What? Okay. Well, I got a bit confused there.
Ladies and gentlemen, obviously, our Australian counterpart has not yet had his regular caffeine intake. By all means, if you'd like to all put caffeine in the chat, feel free, and we will indeed roast him more than the coffee beans in his cup. But it's good to see we got some feedback here from the chat. You guys can't see it, but Reese is currently smiling and also kind of face palming emotionally right now. It's
yeah.
I don't usually watch him while I commentate. It's quite a refreshing difference. But we got an opinion here from Jasper Josh. Weaving to break draft is fine in my opinion, so long as the car's far enough away not to cause any danger. I would never do it. Makes you look weak. And Reese, are you reading the chat actually?
I am not. I'm focused on what's going on in sim at the moment. I don't make it a habit of looking at the broadcast chat during a race. So no, I don't know. I might have to change that up. But the results for the moment, Brandon Hawken from the back of the field to the win. Jackson Morley and Clay Morris rounding out your podium spots there. Nicholas Colander winning the AM class ahead of Steven Sutherland, with Ryan Knight, Mark Boyd, Matt Clark, Braden Otto, and Rob Wright rounding out your top 10.
Indeed, as we have a look back at P11, we're going to have Richard Martin with Ryan Brooks in 12th. Lane Anderson took third with Victor Plord in 14th, with Eugene Cartini, the man himself, in 15th. Keith Wilford takes 16th with our league admin, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mike Broomhead in 17th, with Gerald Numhard in 18th, Sean Haley in 19th, and indeed Alyssa McKenzie in 20th.
Yeah, so unfortunate there for Nimhard, Hilly, and McKenzie. Hopefully the final race gets them the results that their pace deserves. But yeah, sheer chaos throughout basically the midfield on back. By comparison, I think the battle for the lead looked quite sedate there in race 2. But we will have our third race coming up here, Zippy, with an inverted top 10. That means that Rob Wright has pole.
Well, that's definitely a great opportunity and indeed a terrifying prospect. Indeed, certainly I've had the benefit of an invert grid before, and don't get me wrong, on some tracks it can be very, very beneficial. Here, I got a feeling it's not going to be quite as potent as, say, like a tight street circuit, like potentially Long Beach, for example. But indeed, this is going to be your grid. Rob Wright takes first with Braden Otto in second. Matt Clark there in third, with then Colin Bubba, Mr. Mark Boyd in fourth. Ryan Knight takes fifth with Steven Sutherland in sixth. That's going to be a good chance for the Auto Eclectic Lies in fourth and sixth, respectively. There could be a good bit of teamwork there. Nicholas Glander takes seventh with Clay Morris in eighth. Jackson Morley in ninth, and indeed Brendan Hawkin starting back in 10th.
From there on, it's where they finished in race 2. Martin and Brooks on row number 6, then it's Anderson and Plord on row 7. Cartini and Wilfred on 15th and 16th. Broomhead starts 17th ahead of Nemhard, Healy and Mackenzie. And it looks to me like all of the drivers are taking to the grid, so we will be seeing, once again, 20 drivers take to the track here to see who gets the final win of the night. At the moment, considering how he's been able to just stay out of trouble and stroll on by while everyone fights among themselves, Brandon Hawkin, I think, is in the box seat to take all 3 wins on the trot again tonight.
Yeah, he definitely is a man to be reckoned with, and don't get me wrong, you might wonder why. Well, he's 7,694 iRating. Ladies and gentlemen, if he was a roller coaster, he may indeed be too tall to be allowed at that point, but certainly he's got pace there. Not only that, the Formula Vee, I wouldn't say it's a complete specialty car, but certainly he does have a few tricks to it, and indeed he's definitely been able to master them so far.
Yeah, a lot of tricks that you can employ in the Formula Vee. Get a lovely view of Hawkins' virtual driver just stone-faced, staring out at the 9 cars ahead of him that he must overtake in order to dominate. At this point, Hawkin has probably taken the round win, so now it's just bragging rights and a chance to get a few extra points on the competition for Brandon, but it's a very good opportunity for Braden Otto. Remember, he was on the front row for race 2, but started from the pits. Thanks to the invert, he's back on the front row again for the final race.
Yeah, this could be an absolutely fantastic opportunity for the driver of the number 27 car, indeed. And certainly, you know, there's a whole world of opportunity. Mark Boyd, I got a feeling he's going to do very well out of this, especially with Steve Sutherland watching, as indeed, these guys are quite aggressive at the warm-up lap this time around.
Yeah, braking and accelerating to maybe get some heat into the tires. It's actually a good view here that we're getting with Mark Boyd. I noticed it coming into turn 5 as well. It's surprising just how much these cars dive and squat under weight transfer.
Yeah, honestly, everybody, like, you know, you go to the racetrack, everybody wants more power. Ladies and gentlemen, first-hand experience, it is more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow. I've not driven many fast cars. I'm not can't attest to that too much, but certainly with my own real-life experience, and even just watching at the track, you'll see like a Miata driver, for example, will be able to get more out of it. And don't get me wrong, you get to have that smug feeling of if you lap a faster car.
Yeah, indeed. A great feeling, I'm sure. Not that I've ever experienced it. Only ever sat in real-world race cars once or twice. I go to the sim world for my dose of motorsport action. A lot of drivers who will be trying their best to get some runs going here and recover from a poor race 2. One of them being Victor Plord, who unfortunately fell by the wayside a couple of times, contact through very little to no fault of his own on all those occasions from my assessment of it. Starts the 14th for this final race, and he does have the pace to get himself into the top 5 at least, so hopefully he stays out of trouble here.
Yeah, definitely, and absolutely fantastic stuff indeed. I'm definitely looking forward to this final race. Now, I do have to wonder as well, are we going to see... there's not too many teams in here. Certainly the Auto Eclectic guys, I'm aware of them being in there and being in the team, but certainly normally Nicholas Lander would have the likes of Mark McDonald, for example, joining him. Certainly we've not had the pleasure of Mark so far in the Formula 1200 yet, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly he's a former BiS winner of the Formula 1600 Championship, and indeed did get to drive a real Formula 1600. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the 1200, and it's about to go underway as, ladies and gentlemen, green flag, and away we go with Braden Otto leading the charge.
Rob Wright gets into the lead, a nice orderly start from everybody. Now they're trying to find their space for the run to turn 1. As long as you don't have anyone in front of you, directly in front, you should be fine. So our leaders will be okay for the most part. Wright defensive on the inside, but sweeping around the outside is Braden Otto. There's a spin for Ryan Brooks, and it's collected. It would appear Eugene Cartini and Sean Haley, Alyssa McKenzie somehow making her way through that, but how much damage she has, we'll have to wait and see on that. Ryan Knight leading the battle for P5, and goodness me, what a pack it is for this lead.
Absolutely fantastic stuff indeed. That looks like free ride around the right-hander before you go into the sharp left.
Spin for Otto!
Oh dear, and
there we go. Braden Otto back to P15. Looked like a solo error there into turn 5 from the lead of the race. That's disastrous.
Oh, absolutely. And I do believe we've got somebody here in the BiS Radical Series taking a watch as well. Potentially moving into the F1200. There you go. Braden Otto just solo spin, ladies and gentlemen. Easily done. A bit of cold tyres and ended up going right round, baby, right round.
You know, I think that was potentially a mistimed downshift or an erroneous downshift into second gear, as here's the contact in the back of the field there. Ryan Brooks and the number 24 of Eugene Cartini making wheel-to-wheel contact, and that just ballooned into a bigger incident. Back to live pictures, and Matt Clark has passed Rob Wright for the lead of the race. We have Amcars in the top 2 positions, but for how long? That's too wide out of the first corner there for Matt Clark. Rob Wright gets the lead straight back. The point I wanted to make with the spin there for Otto is in Formula V's, you only really use 3rd and 4th gears for the corners. There's a lot of low-down torque that the Volkswagen 4-cylinder has. So, you know, muscle memory can sometimes make you shift down into 2nd when you really don't need to. And that locks up the drivetrain. That might be what happened to Mr. Braden Otto. But for the moment, keep an eye out for Jackson Morley and Clay Morris here as Ryan Knight falls to the back of the pack for the front. Actually, I think Knight might have had a spin.
Yeah, definitely not the way to go, but currently Rob Wright is shown for me in P2, ladies and gentlemen. As we see here, Ryan Knight, ladies and gentlemen, and goes a little bit too deep there in the 744. The paint job actually reminded me of Cool Runnings a little bit. Slightly questionable reach on there. Mike Broomhead thankfully able to avoid him and continue racing. But right now, the top of the pack, ladies and gentlemen, the top 5 being tailed by Clay Morris in this scenario. I say being tailed, they are literally about 0.2 of a second apart.
My goodness, this is a really close fight. And right at the top of the frame in the background, you see Brandon Hawken, who's actually fallen back 3 positions from where he started. I think he's been involved in a couple of problems in the first few laps as they're 3 wide ahead of him. Well, that may be 3 freebies coming up for Hawken if things go south. It looks like Ryan Knight with, once again, a problem and moving off the track at turn 1. That'll grant 1 position to Hawken and Sutherland there as well. But back to the fight for the lead. Jackson Morley versus Matt Clark. Jackson taking the lead in style with a huge slipstream run down the start-finish straight. And look at the move to the inside there from Rob Wright. Oh, he manages to slow it up in time to avoid running into Matt Clark. But it looks like it's going to be a almost 5-way fight for the lead here.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Certainly Mark Boyd is going to be looking to try and score some more championship points, ladies and gentlemen. But certainly it's been an absolute belter of an event so far. Matt Clark having the best race so far, but Jackson Morley up 8 positions. Keith Wilfred, attaboy, he's up 10 positions, ladies and gentlemen. Started in 16 and is currently in 6th. So let's find out exactly what happened to Steve Sutherland earlier on in this race.
We're going to find out what happened to Hawken as well. This is lap 2, turn 1, and there was contact there, 3 wide, couple of wheels bouncing off each other. Both Sutherland and Hawken were spun out as a result of that. So that's the reason why we see Steven Sutherland down 7 places and Brandon Hawken languishing a little bit in P12 for the moment.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, how the mighty have fallen, Brendan. Okay, I'm sorry, but you're a good guy. I want to see somebody else take a win. Indeed, he is the Max Verstappen of the Formula Vee. Certainly, at least the Formula 1200 Drivers Association right now. But you see here, Jackson Morley has not been able to take a break here. He's got Matt Clark right behind him, as that is a little bit wide there. Who was that now? I have a feeling that may have been Keith Wilfred. Don't get me wrong, he's managed to stay with the pack, but he has got a 1.7 second gap behind him to Victor Plord. It is crucial he stays behind Nicholas Calander and stays with this lead pack. And oh my gosh, that goes Mark Boyd. They call him Bubba, and Nicholas Calander's got caught as well. They both back off into the grass. Mark Boyd rejoins Calander a little bit more reserved as, oh my gosh, I can hear more carnage behind.
Oh my lord, this is turning into a bit of an insane race here. So that's two drivers that have been unceremoniously taken out of this lead battle. We'll see it happen here once again. So Colander coming in nice and hot there versus Mark Boyd, but yeah, it looks like the door was opening a little to the inside, but not quite enough for Colander to get through.
Indeed, and we got an absolute belter of a question in the chat. You're going to have to bear with me. I'm going to have to type that one. It's going to be a little bit. We're very busy here on Pit Road Productions, not just in the booth, but on regular broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. But we're going to get to that in just a minute. There's a little bit of a wiggle there from the 77 of Matt Clark, thankfully able to keep control of it there. But right now, the 45 of Rob Wright, he is currently doing very well in AM class. And not only that, he's a Formula Vee fanatic, ladies and gentlemen. But he's got Clay Morris behind. Can Morris try and find his way to the front of the pack? We've been looking for him to try and make a win, but can he do it? Brandon Hawkin very much out of the way, at least for now, currently back in P7.
Matt Clark trying again on Jackson Morley up the front of the field there, but the number 92 is still ahead by just enough to defend the position. These four keeping each other very close company, but Keith Wilfred and Victor Plord not far behind, and if they can start working together, I'm sure they'll be able to catch up. For the moment, though, looks like the top four is running about anywhere from 0.2 to an entire second faster than the drivers chasing them. Brandon Hawkin has moved up to P7. He's managed to get himself a few positions out of that one. 5 in total. A couple of spins for the likes of Colander and Mark Boyd helping with that, I am sure. But we'll see what kind of pace Hawkin will be able to get on. He's actually set the fastest lap last lap, a 1:26.6. These guys up the front battling, they are setting high 1:27 27s. Brandon Hawkins lapping about 1.2 seconds faster than them.
Yeah, indeed, it's going to be a race to the clock, because that's a little bit of contact there. Almost more contact between Jackson Morley and Matt Clark. Certainly the Formula Vee, not the largest footprint of a car, but indeed these guys are using absolutely every inch of track available to them, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, you can see here Jackson Morley fighting very hard to hold on to that lead, but Matt Clark fighting incredibly hard in that number 77.
Yeah, this is Formula Vee racing right here, and this is why I love it so much. I've had plenty of track time in the Formula Vee as well. It's one of my favorite cars to race. As the move to the inside again here for Matt Clark. He would love for an AM class car to take overall victory here, but Jackson Morley's still doing it as, oh no, Victor Plord, as troubles continue. He is stuck with Michael Broomhead there, and just in time for Ryan Knight to arrive on the scene. Actually, no, that's Stephen Sutherland, I think, that just arrived on the scene there. Oh dear, where do you even begin with that particular incident? We'll have to give that a bit more time, because once again, side by side for the lead. There goes Matt Clark, but can Jackson Morley get the run around the outside and get this done here? Or can Clay Morris get himself a spanner in the works here? What about Rob Wright too? Any of these four could take the win in the end with still 5 laps remaining, but Brandon Hawkin is closing in. Look at how close he is now.
Not only that, he's bringing Braden Otto with him as well. Gerald Newmart and indeed Keith Wilfred are trying to hold on to the back of this tail as well. As indeed, they're going 3 wide around turn 1. That's going to end up potentially problematic, ladies and gentlemen. Able to get sorted out. Rob Wright there, able to get his nose just ahead. But Jackson Morley is very much looking to try and get ahead of this pack right now. The aggression from these drivers in this final race has been absolutely immense.
Yeah, they are used to the track. They're used to each other by now. And they are willing to get the elbows up a little bit more. as Michael Broomhead has just towed back to pit lane. His troubles have continued. We have a few casualties once again coming out of this segment of the competition. Brandon Hawken now just about 1.3 seconds behind those guys. Here's what happened to Broomhead. He was able to come through without much issue as Victor Plord spun ahead of him, but then Broomhead runs into Plord and drags him along for about 100, 200 meters down the road. Unfortunately, there was no getting them unstuck from there. So we will see now whether or not they'll be able to survive to the end here in this lead battle. 4 laps remaining.
Keith Wilford has picked up a black flag.
Oh no. I wonder if that's for incident limit. Must be.
I'm not sure where you could get a slowdown here on Summit Point, but definitely I sympathise for the gentleman indeed. Definitely, there's no clear in that, as indeed Michael Broomhead has also picked up a black flag. I'm going to say that's got to be incident limits, ladies and gentlemen, but right now, Clay Morris is indeed looking to try and challenge for that race lead as he's going up on the inside of Jackson Morley.
Yeah, away we go then. Brandon Hawken is now with the lead fight, and he picks up 1 position off Rob Wright. He might pick up 2 here if he makes the move on Matt Clark. The outside line is open here, and we'll see what happens as they make their way around this hairpin section.
Absolutely fantastic stuff indeed as Brandon Hawken is looking to try and find his way back to the front of the grid. Clay Morris will be very aware of that, as will Jackson Morley. Morley is already familiar with what can happen if he cannot run away, but right now they're doing 128.3s, but Brandon Hawken with a 126.3. That's 2 seconds in the gap, and with 3 laps left to go. Where is this going to fall? Ladies and gentlemen, will they unite and go too wide just to try and block out the previous champion, or will they indeed duke it out, and can Brandon Hawken find his way back to the front of the grid? Absolutely fantastic. So we see here goes Hawken, and they're going to make it 3 wide going down the start finish straight. He's got that overspeed, and indeed it looks like Matt Clark trying to find a space there. No real estate left to be had. Rob Wright, though, with potentially an opportunity there. Can he send it up on the inside? It's indeed Hawken on the outside. And you see that's a spin there. Matt Clark goes round. Rob Wright able to hold on the third, but indeed the shark tooth Formula Vee has indeed been bitten.
Oh, well, that's going to bring one of our drivers then out of this fight once more. And then there were 5. Hawken versus Morley at the front. The battle for third between Wright, Otto, and Morris. Still going to be 2 laps to go when we cross the line next. There's plenty more to come out of this.
Yeah, I have a feeling Jackson Morley is not going to take that lane down, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, Clay Morris is still very much in contention with this pack. You just got to hope that Rob Wright can indeed stay with them, as Braden Otto has taken charge of that fastest lap with 126.2.
Yeah, lovely stuff from Braden Otto. He's really picked up the slipstream nicely from Clay Morris and Rob Wright. Got to wonder how much we will see as we find our way to the final corner. The second last lap begins, and Brandon Hawken still leading, but Jackson Morley right in his wheel tracks. Surely this is the opportunity that Morley needs.
Yeah, I think he's got to really time the pass. I don't know if I would have made the pass here at turn 1. I think I would have held back. But indeed, these guys are thinking not just on this lap, but with the next lap in mind. Right now, Braden Otto currently there in P3. Rob Wright very much close behind in P4. He's leading the AMP class right now as Clay Morris goes and takes over that spot. But Rob Wright, he's in an absolutely golden position here. All he's got to do is stay with this pack, and he will indeed win the AMP class in the final race of the day.
And he will. Oh, super close on the exit of turn 3, though. And the good thing is there's not much pressure on Wright, as you said. Gerald, though, with a mammoth run up through the field, though, to P6, up 12 positions for the number 23. That's pretty fantastic, honestly. Despite the issues he suffered earlier on, he has kept it clean in race number 3, and he'll be in contention for the Hard Charger Award if we had one. But now, coming up to the white flag here, Zippy. Morley, Hawken, and now Otto. They are all together. And these are our usual protagonists here at the front. Got to wait to see if Clay Morris will latch onto the back of them as well. And it looks like all 5 of our top 5 will be together here across the line.
I think this is going to be a demonstration strategy here. As there goes Braden Otto. He's got the overspeed from 1. Can he get the overspeed from 2? Definitely, I would be trying to force the car a little bit left more, but he knows they're going to be going 3 wide as they make their way down to turn 1. Can Braden Otto get ahead? Will Jackson Morley and Brandon Hawkin make it through? As indeed, he's made it through. But up on the inside goes Morley, and Brandon Hawkin looking to try and cut the gap there and weaves it between the pair of them.
Yeah. Typical Brandon Hawkin there. He lets the other drivers make the mistakes and just drives around them there. Turn 3 then. Hawkin holds on, and it looks like, Morley and Otto almost came together there. A little bit of steering correction to be had. The view from the back here of our championship leader. Contact, and Brandon Hawkin. Oh my God, what happened to Morley? Clay Morris leads, Rob Wright to second. What the hell happened?
Well, I definitely did not see that coming, and certainly Morley did not benefit out of that. Brandon Hawkins somehow miraculously still able to hold on to third. Let's see exactly what happened. So it looked like Otto went in a little bit deep there. What happened to Morley? Did he get a little bit of a tap? Or?
Just a mistake. Just a mistake. There was no contact there for Morley. It was a slide and an overcorrection, and around he went. Well, in the end, that is going to give the win in race 3 to Clay Morris. And Rob Wright in the AM class gets second overall. Hawkins still finishes third out of all of that. The powder keg blew on the final lap, and wow, what a finish.
Well, that's definitely a scenario where it felt like he was getting chased by the Kraken, and indeed he managed to find a jar of dirt. Ladies and gentlemen, if you got that reference, let me know in the chat. Certainly, we love making those kind of jokes. But right now, Nicholas Calander is trying to hold on to P10, and indeed he's going side to side here with Lane Anderson as they go down the start. Oh no, that's Alyssa McKenzie. My apologies there. I thought the timing seemed off.
Yeah, indeed. A close finish between those 3 drivers. Colander, Anderson and McKenzie separated by about 0.7 of a second across the line. Stephen Sutherland then going to be one of the last cars to come across the line here. And unfortunate for him, he certainly had the pace to be a contender, but again, the chaos of these races reigns supreme. Sean Haley, meanwhile, a quiet race for the most part, ending up gaining 4 positions on his starting spot, but having his own fair share of issues, finishing a long way down the order in P15, more than a minute behind the leaders. Well, that's going to round things off here for the 3 races, and our final results: Clay Morris by 0.2 of a second over Rob Wright. Those are your Pro and Am winners there. Brandon Hawkin completes the podium. Braden Otto finishes 4th ahead of Gerald Nemhard, and Jackson Morley, well, he was going for the lead on the final lap, but a mistake puts him back to P6. Matt Clark was also in the battle for the lead too, but was sent out a little bit earlier. Ryan Knight, the same. Keith Wilfred and Nicholas Colander proud to get your top 10 with Lane Anderson and Alyssa McKenzie not far behind him. Eugene Cartini finishes lucky 13th, Stephen Sutherland 14th, and Sean Haley, the last car to cross the line on the lead lap. Ryan Brooks a lap down, and our retirements include Michael Broomhead, Victor Plord, Mark Boyd, and Richard Martin. A real shame for all those drivers involved at the back of the field, Zippy, but up the front, man, we got a lot of excitement, didn't we?
Oh, an absolutely astonishing evening of racing, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, BIS always delivers on such opportunities. Indeed, it's 3 series going on right now. Ladies and gentlemen, it's quite rare to find 1 where you get a sim to reality experience. 2 is unheard of, but 3 series where you can get a chance to drive in a real car. And this being the only one as well where they do indeed have that opportunity where every lap, every race they finish on the lead lap, they get a ballot, and there will be a random draw at the end of the season. We are indeed going to have to bring it to a close. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. My name is Daniel Zippy Salmon, and joining me in the production booth today, the one and only Mr. Reese Southpaw Racer Gardner. Rob Campbell, thank you very much for being here at the production controls, and indeed for helping us out here on Pit Road Productions over this past week or so. It's been an absolute pleasure. But ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't done it already, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well, by all means, and as well to the drivers who we're going to see joining the leagues as well. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you on track. But thank you very much for watching, and we will indeed see you next time here for the Canadian F1200 Esports Championship 2026.